Welcome to this video on the Phase 2 plan for in-person worship at St. Matthew's. We are very excited to welcome you back to the church for those that are willing and able to make that choice, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. I know it feels like this step has been a long time coming, and I know that many folks are eager to return to in-person worship as soon as possible. I know I am, but there are a few things that we need to talk about. First, please understand that the plan I'm about to tell you about is temporary. Our diocese has developed a series of phases that we will progress through as case counts decline and as a vaccine for COVID-19 becomes available. Up until now, we've been in phase 1, where only gatherings of 10 people were allowed. Now we're progressing to phase 2, and we're allowed gatherings of up to 50 people. As the situation improves, we'll be able to relax some of these rules. But for the time being, we need to take care of one another and make our church as safe as possible. And that means there will be some additional steps that we need to take. More on that in just a moment. Second, I want you to know that online worship will still be an option. The online services are not going away. For the Phase 2 period at least, we're going to continue to have great online worship as we've done for the past several months. The homily will be the same as the people in person are receiving, and the online worship may be a better experience in some ways because we'll be able to have more music. So if you're worried about coming to church, you don't need to be. Just continue to worship with us online, and we'll see you when you're ready to return. Third, we have a responsibility to make worship here as safe as possible. And that means we have to be very careful not to spread the coronavirus. We don't want St. Matthew's to be the reason that someone becomes ill or, God forbid, dies. I'll do everything in my power to prevent that. One of the rules that we have to work with is that if we know of a case of COVID-19 in the community, we'll need to suspend worship for a further 2 weeks. And because of that rule, we've designed this plan to avoid that situation if at all possible, to avoid shutting down the church again by keeping people in cohesive faith communities. If a person in that community is infected, we can suspend just that single service without having to impact the others. So please remember those elements as we talk about the plan. This is temporary, online options are still available, and this is set up the way that it is in order to avoid shutting down the church again. If you ask yourself, why are they doing things that way? It's usually because it was the best possible option that we had. With that, preliminaries out of the way, let's talk about the invitation to in-person worship in Phase 2 and what it means to join a faith community. During Phase 2, beginning in October, you are invited to join a Sunday faith community of 50 people, which is, like I said, the maximum size we're allowed to have. This is a big choice because we're asking that people remain in that same community for the duration of Phase 2. That could be several months. And so if you commit to being part of one of them, we'd like you to remain in that group for the immediate future. Please don't sign up for in-person worship lightly and then choose not to come, because you might be taking a seat from someone who would like to attend. And I know what you're thinking. Why do I have to stay in one group of 50? It's for 2 reasons, just to reiterate very briefly. First, 50 is the largest size gathering that we're allowed to have at the moment. And secondly, if we didn't do this and someone becomes infected, we'd have to shut down the whole church again. By keeping people in the same group, the worst case scenario is that one group is briefly suspended. Rather than a restriction, I would invite you to see this as a way to build community with people you might not have known before. We will be creating a new worshiping groups that build new bonds. And so you're going to be part of something special. We are starting with 6 of these faith communities, and we will add more later if necessary. The first 3 communities will meet on the first weekend of October, and the second set of 3 will start up on the second weekend. They'll meet every other week. So, for example, the St. Mary community will meet on Sunday mornings on the first and third Sundays of the month. The St. Peter community will meet on Saturday nights, the first and third Saturdays of the month, while others will meet on the second and fourth Saturdays and Sundays. Some groups will meet outdoors, some will meet in the new church, one will even be in the old church. Don't worry about trying to keep all this straight. Don't worry about it right now. When you RSVP, you will have 6 options to choose from, and each one will have its own schedule clearly indicated. One positive outcome of this is that there will be lots of variety and many options to choose from. To join an in-person faith community starting on September 20th, the RSVPs will be available, and you can use the link that we provide on our website, on our Facebook page, or sent out in the newsletter to make that RSVP. You can also call the office and speak with Debbie Tartell, who will be happy to assist you over the phone. Again, please don't make this choice lightly. It'll be a commitment for several months, and we're going to ask folks not to change your mind and switch around. These communities are fixed because it means we can minimize the impact of any community spread that may occur. Once you've joined a faith community, you'll be able to attend during that community's regular worship time, either Saturday evening or Sunday mornings, or another time unique to that community. When you arrive at St. Matthew's, please know that things will be a little bit different from the last time you were here. Face masks, like this one, are required anytime you're attending services. When you arrive, you'll have a bulletin and a name tag prepared for you to pick up. Folks have been asking for name tags for years, and well, now we'll have them. Of course, seating will be limited and carefully arranged to create social distancing. You should also know that you'll see one priest, either myself or Father Hank, during a particular month, and then we will rotate from month to month between those groups. Again, we're taking these steps to minimize the chance that we might pass the virus between groups. For these in-person services, we will be limited on our music offerings, and we won't be allowed to have congregational singing during this phase. Unfortunately, having a large group singing together is one of the best possible ways to spread a respiratory virus. So that's something we'll have to fast from for now. But each faith community will have musicians and a singer or cantor and other talented folks who can provide us with a rich worship experience. Folks, things will be different for a while, but this is temporary. And in the meantime, I'd like you to consider this as a special kind of invitation to a special kind of intentional community. You may not see exactly the same faces that you always did at the 9 and 11, 7:30 services that we've always had, but maybe that's a good thing. We will be learning to grow and connect with one another in new ways and building new relationships so that when all this is behind us, you'll have made some new friends too. I ask you to see this as an experiment, something new and interesting, and keep in mind that this too shall pass. So please prayerfully consider the invitation to worship in person with us. Consider joining one of our faith communities and find a new kind of spiritual home and a new kind of church family. And if you prefer to join us online for the time being, that's fine too. We want to be here for you, to meet you where you are. And no matter how you choose to worship with us online or in person, one thing I know for certain is that you are a member of the body of Christ. We'll see you again soon, and God bless.